Michael Jaafar, from a legal standpoint, the prosecution's open was mild-mannered. Different story with the defense. A couple objections, some sidebars here. What's your take? Effective?
So the prosecutor was obviously trotted out to do her job. I agree with my co-panelist. This man should not be charged. What people have to understand about the legal system is that defense lawyers have the luxury of being lawyers, but prosecutors do not have the luxury of just being lawyers. They should, but they're also basically public, they're public like counselors, right? They handle, victims and the victims' families. It's clear what happened here. The victims' families were all very irate. They wanted charges to be brought. They were wrong. They put pressure on the prosecuting team to bring charges because you see the pictures of these beautiful kids who were murdered, right? Innocent kids. And so the prosecutors had, they run for public office. They have to get the public to elect them. So it was either, and it's very perverse to bring it up that way, but that's essentially what happened here. When you're running for office as the team, you cannot run for office and say we did not charge the coward from Broward. He wasn't a coward, right? But that was his moniker, right? Unfairly so. And so how are you going to run for re-election and you did not bring charges against the coward from Broward? You have to do it. And so that's why this innocent man is being charged. He's being grinded in the wheel of justice. This is the dark side of our justice system. People don't really understand it. They don't understand the politics behind it. This is a political move. He should not be charged. I agree with my co-panelist. This man is not a criminal defendant. You see him. I mean, he's in custody, and I mean, this is completely unfair. I think the prosecutor's opening statement, she's doing the best she can, but at the end of the day, she's being trotted out to handle a political agenda, and they don't think that this person is going to be convicted, but they're doing their job.
And Michael, this was a case that, from our viewer standpoint, they really liked what they felt was a defendant who was speaking the truth on the witness stand. Now, whether or not the jury picked up on that or felt the same way, who knows? What was your take on this case overall and specifically the defendant's performance on the witness stand? Because let's face it, that's going to make or break it.
I completely agree with you, Ted. If the defendant did not testify in this case with those facts, it would have been very, very difficult for him to be acquitted. But his testimony was long, it was perfect, it was flawless. He came off as sincere, he came off as honest. He was very even keel. As a defense attorney, that is the perfect dream client to have in terms of tested. The facts were not that good, but in terms of the way he testified and the way he projected in that courtroom, he was flawless. You could not do a better job. And you could tell that was not all preparation. That man is just built basically to have ice in his veins, talk under pressure, be even keel, and be honest, and be self-examining. So I think his testimony was great. My analysis of the case is one big thing that harms him, and it's the facts. If the jury feels that these people were retreating and his life was not under threat, imminent threat, and he came out and started firing, that's going to be the most destructive fact for him getting an acquittal, right? Because you don't have to even be an attorney to know. If somebody's running away from you and you go in and you shoot a rifle, I mean, you've murdered that person. It was a lot more complicated here. He was the victim of domestic violence. His girlfriend told him, they're going to come here, they're going to kill you. They came there, they showed up en masse at night. Very odd. So I mean, just imagine a mailman knocking on your door at midnight. Now it's not a mailman, it's 4 people related to the person who told you they're going to come kill you, right? So it's very, very difficult. The facts are not great for him, but his testimony was perfect.
As we look at the live picture inside the courtroom, you can see Travis Rudolph next to his attorney. What's this moment like as an attorney when you've put in everything, you've been living and breathing this case, and now here you are trying to console your client? But it's these final moments. You know the jury's come to a decision. What's it like to sit there and wait these final few moments?
This is the second worst moment as a defense attorney. The only thing that tops it is the moments after they convict your client. The moment after they convict your client, you know the cameras are pointed at your client and you're thinking to yourself, future clients are going to see me sitting next to somebody who got acquitted. It's actually very, very harmful. I don't feel bad for the attorney. Obviously, this is what we signed up for. But this is the second most awkward moment, waiting for the jury. You run to the bathroom multiple times. You don't drink coffee. It's a diuretic. Like, it's very, very, very difficult. All the cameras are pointed on you because they're pointed on your client. And the only thing that's worse is the moment when your client is convicted, right? The moment your client is acquitted is the most proudest moment for a lawyer. You beam with pride. I'll never forget my first ever trial where I had a client, acquitted. I didn't even prepare for the trial. I went in and I just argued the case because another attorney, who's now a judge, was conflicted out of the case. And it was the proudest moment to this day. I talk about it. I remember every inch of that feeling, right? But right now, that is the second most awkward moment for the attorney.
Yeah, and family members, everybody, the prosecutors who have also put in a lot of time. In this case, there are lesser includeds. They were hashed out beforehand, and the jury's going to have a menu of choices here going into the manslaughter range. And how, you talked about earlier, that one piece of the puzzle, which you're absolutely true. When you watch him come out of the house, he's got the long gun, or the whatever that the actual gun is. It's a we don't know, those AK type things. He comes out and he slips it. You could perceive him as being angry, right, rather than scared, and that is what the prosecution tried to articulate in their close. And I could see that. I could see some jurors, or even all the jurors, making that change over from the scary four guys are at the door ring video to the, okay, this dude is mad, and now he's got this gun. That's huge, is it not? If jurors believe that he was mad and now he's the aggressor, it changes the game, does it not? And then these four young men who showed up at the house are actually, they're running for their lives.
The lesser included charges include, rightfully so, what we call crimes of passion, right? So this is typically in the context of a woman usually being abused physically by a man, and then he technically, when she murdered that man, technically she was not defending herself, right? Technically not defending herself because at that time he was not threatening her life, but he has threatened her life multiple times in the past, and so there is a nexus in the law, the time that has to pass when it becomes a crime for you to murder that person, or when it's not a crime. So seconds matter, right? Seconds matter. Your state of mind matters. What harms him in these lesser included offenses is the fact that he's an actual professional athlete. He's big, he's strong, and so coming out with a rifle, shooting. If the jury feels that he was just angry and just exercising some sort of a notion of valor, or you can't come to my house, he's probably gonna get convicted of the lesser included charges in that case. Whereas if the jury feels that these guys were thugs and they were attacking him and he was still defending himself, he's going to be acquitted on all charges. Seconds matter, and we're going to find out how the jury interpreted it when they come out.
We sure will. It's going to be a matter of moments here. Let's do this. Let's get a break in, and then when we come back, we'll find out the fate of Travis Rudolph. The jury has a verdict. We'll listen and see what it is when we come back. Watching along with us, trial attorney Michael Jaafar up in Detroit, and you see those smiles. Michael, you talked about that feeling that they are experiencing right now. Your reaction?
I mean, as an attorney who has defended people who are accused of crimes, I can't help but be a little jealous of his attorney right now, Mr. Shiner, because he, this is the proudest moment for a criminal defense attorney. He took a case all the way to a jury with difficult facts. He got lucky with having a great client who knew how to testify and oralize a good defense. But I mean, his attorney did a stellar job, and I can only envy the pride he must feel right now. He knows that the cameras are looking at his client being acquitted. His client is crying. This is a big deal. The jury came back very quick. Usually it means that they're going to convict you or they're going to acquit you because they've made a decision. But in this specific case, for them to come back this quick, to me, it looked clearly like an acquittal, because there were lesser included charges, and it would be very difficult and take a lot of time if they were going to acquit. They were going to convict him of a lesser included charge, but acquit him of the big charge. It would have taken days of deliberation for them to decipher that. But for them to come back that quickly, it was pretty clear to all of us looking at the case that they were acquitting him on all charges, because either they were going to take their time and acquit him of a lesser included charge, or they're going to not take their time and come back quickly and acquit him on all charges. And that's exactly what happened. So at this point, and you see the emotion from the defendant, he was crying. This thing meant a lot to him, of course. He was, so in his mind, when that jury foreman was speaking, whatever she said, either the rest of his life he was going to be talking to his family through a bulletproof glass in a jail and traveling around. It's not that you just go to jail. You go into a system, and in that system, they move you. You have no control. You have no freedom. You have no ability. You do not control your own destiny. They will wake you up one day at 6 in the morning, say, we're moving you from where you are now in North Carolina. We're moving you to Seattle, right? To a place that's cold and muggy, and it was built in the 50s. And like, he was looking at that, but when she spoke 5 seconds later, when she got to count 4, and they acquitted him of the first 3, and then she acquitted him of the last one. In his mind, I'm going home today with my family in Florida with palm trees. I'm going to go out to eat, and this is all behind me. I'm protected by double jeopardy. You see the smile on his face. So this is a big moment for all of them. I think justice was done properly, and as an observer, you tip your hat to the defense.
And to your point earlier, it's difficult to take the stand if you're not telling the truth. But his conviction on that stand seemed effortless, because he was recounting a story from his perspective that absolutely had that righteous truth behind it in his mind, and he delivered it in that fashion, despite the stakes. He got up and convinced this jury of 12 that he would do it all again. To me, that was the biggest one. At the end of the day, the last question, if you could do it again, would you? Even though he took a life, he answered yes, because he felt that his life and his brother's life and even his mother's were in danger at that moment. What a performance it was for him. And you mentioned it earlier, the perfect client to have, because that conviction is it, right? You can't lie on the stand. It just doesn't work.
Ted, not only do I agree with you, not only are you 100% correct in what you just said, but here's what I want people to understand. If there's a video or any evidence that shows that you shoot somebody while they retreat, we are taught in law school. This is not in the first year of law school. This is in the first semester, right? In the first semester of law school, they teach you about the retreat rule, right? So the minute if somebody runs up to you with a gun and they point it at you, and they shoot it at you, right? And then they start running away, and you grab your rifle and you shoot them as they're running away, you've committed murder, right? That's if they shoot you. That's if they're shooting you and they run away, right? In this case, these people were not shooting at him. They were running away. They were in their car. They were leaving. There was a metal barrier between him and them, and he still shot them and killed them. So had he not testified, this man was getting convicted of the top charge. He was getting convicted, no questions. It was only his testimony and his sincerity in his testimony that has led to his acquittal. It was extreme. It was a black letter like divide between getting acquitted and not acquitted. This was the dramatic moment. Him testifying, he got himself acquitted. And he's going to relive this for the rest of his life. He's going to have nightmares about that, being on that stand, because we see him. The camera's fixated on him. We see a wall behind him, but that's not what he sees. He sees cameras. He sees his attorney. He sees the menacing prosecutor ready to savage him on cross-examination, because he was testifying in his own defense, so his attorney came first. he knew that the prosecutor was going to come up and get under his skin. He was seeing the family of the victims. He was seeing his family. He was seeing cameras, right? And he did it, and he withstood it. He did it spectacularly. He saved his own life. It was extreme.
What an afternoon. Travis Rudolph not guilty on all charges. He is a free man tonight, and he is going home, and he will be home with his family.